Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Edna J. White. I'm so glad you're with me today. Today's topic, we're going to talk about generational trauma or curses, as some say. Now, I know I've been getting a lot of feedback about, talking about this, and we always hear it. If we're churchgoers, we hear this all the time. If we're not churchgoers, we hear about trauma being passed down to our children. We hear about this all the time. So I posted something on my group, Wounded to Wonderful, inspiring purpose and creativity, and I got a lot of feedback from it. So I want to talk about how generational trauma or curses are handed down. So they're handed down, as most know, if we do something over and over and over again the same way, it becomes habit, and habit then forms something that we do all the time, parts of our soul. Our soul is which is us. So a habit can be created to become part of us. Okay, now how the trauma passes down, like unresolved thoughts. Okay, so how does an unresolved thought come into your head? Perfect example. Someone tells you that the root of all evil is money. Your thought, money is evil. So you never create it, you never do anything with it, you never touch it, you never, never, never. Money is bad. You have that in your thought pattern, guess what? You start acting like money is bad, and guess what? You live out. You live it out, and you live like money is very evil, and you struggle. What you're passing on to your children are money struggles. You struggle, they struggle, and the children after that struggle. Now, how do you make that a generational issue? Well, if I don't talk about money and talk about how to plan and use money, or talk about how to create an income, create an income stream, a residual income streams, to create pillars for your foundation of your financial life, like insurance, wills, um, stocks and bonds, like investments. And there's the last one, I forget the name of it. Last one is, residual. I said that already, residual income. So those four things have to be your pillars of financial gain, okay? And stability, of financial stability. Now, if you're not teaching your children, only thing you're teaching your children, you have to get a job. And the job has to be able to sustain you, because you need insurance, you need this, you need that. That's not teaching them. That's telling them a job will always do that for them. So they must have a job, but they're not building it for themselves. You're not teaching them how to do it themselves. So therefore, what happens as they get older, they think that the job is going to sustain them, and it doesn't. And all they have is a 401k, never told by their parent or anyone else that a 401k can be rolled over and used at another job. So you leave all your money floating around from one job that you left, and you're not told certain things. That is called unresolved thoughts. And those unresolved thoughts kind of go down the line and kind of get added to your family. Okay. So then let's talk about emotions. Anger is a big emotion that we pass down. We don't know. Sometimes children don't even realize that we're mad at something that somebody else did and we're not even part of. Let's take a perfect example. Mom is angry at the dad because the dad didn't help do anything, and she's always talking about him, and the emotion is always on her face. And when she looks at you, she sees you looking like him, she's angry. That's an emotion that then's translated to you, because you don't know why mom's mad at you, and you become angry. So you have all this built up hostility, which is not even yours, but it's passed down to you. That is unresolved emotions being passed down to generation to generation. Negative behaviors. Um, perfect one is negative behaviors are foul mouth for no apparent reason. Just being foul-mouthed, just being rude and obnoxious, you know, negative, just so negative about everything, complaining. It can be passed down to generations. Okay, substance abuse absolutely can be passed down to generation to generation. When my children were old enough, I'd say 5 or 6, I used to talk to them and tell them, listen, you have the you have a gene that's in you that you can become addicted really quick, because their father was addicted to drugs, and my mom was, and my dad were alcoholics until they were older to stop doing it. But you have the propensity in your body to be able to be addicted. So please be careful with what you do and what you get attached to, because you will, you know, then be an addict. Okay, so disassociation is another one. Um, I'm in this little box here, and I don't want to deal with my family's crap. Not that I don't want to deal with it, it's just that I'm disassociated because I'm trying to be better than them, but I'm really not. I'm actually acting worse than them because I'm not part of them. So we tend to disassociate ourselves from family. Because it's a poor family dynamic. So if mom is disassociated with us, we then take on, okay, mom's not a great mom. So we do the exact same thing and become the mom that doesn't help, doesn't be involved, or overly helps and overly be involved. So poor family dynamics, relationships. When you if an issue comes up in your family and you are told that you shouldn't be talking about it, or you're ignored when you talked about it, guess what? That dynamic of that behavior goes on to your children. So if you tell them or believe that children are better seen and not heard, guess what all the children are going to do? They're going to be seen, but they're never going to speak. They won't have a voice. Those are some of just the small patterns of what can actually happen in a generational curse. So how do we start to unmangle this stuff? This is what we're going to get into. How do we just unmangle generational curses? How do we do that? We first got to realize that there is a generational curse. Okay. And I'm just looking for my notes, so don't worry. You first have to know that there is one. You first have to acknowledge that you do have one. And you know what? Everyone has them. They just they minimize them to say that they're real small, but everyone has generational trauma. Okay. So how do we begin to, get rid of that? I've always heard people, the first thing I would do, I don't like certain words like struggle, enslaved. Um, I don't like those kind of negative connotation, because struggles means like you're going to continue to do that, and the trauma just keeps going on and on and on and on and on and on. So you have to be able to discern how you're suffering, because that's really suffering. When you see that you're constantly in a bad relationship year in and year out, and you're still picking the same type of guy, it's time to stop, because that means just put the brakes on. Generational curses have affected you, and you have to examine yourself and get whatever that is, whatever that trauma is at the root of, have to get that out. I've seen so many women, including myself, experience, until now, experience that, that a man is supposed to come and get you. You're supposed to be sitting somewhere and you're supposed to be discovered. No, you have to be in the place. You have to be where the single men are. You have to be, now, of course, I'm not talking COVID. I'm talking pre-COVID and post-COVID afterwards. Okay. So you have to now be in the place for that to happen. Where do single men happen to be? Dating. And again, dating This is really important to get. We've been given that generational curse of dating, meaning as soon as somebody pays attention to you, that's someone you're supposed to be with. That's not true. That's really not true. Dating is it's a continual active word. Dating. You keep doing it. So when you're dating, you're getting to know the person. You're getting to know if you have the same plans. You're getting to know if you have financially fit for each other. You're getting to know, do we have the same wavelength as levels of intelligence, or do we have the same levels of goal setting? We have to sit down and we have to talk about that. And if we are sexually compatible, those things are never talked about. I can tell you that. And guess what that is? That's a generational trauma. That's something that you was told that you had to do and accept it as law. Never mind dating. Never mind having one or two dates or three dates or, three guys to be dating. And I'm not saying having sex with them. If you're at a consensual age and you have a conversation with the individual you're dating, the problem is generational curse of not speaking for yourself, not engaging in these conversations is the other layer. And it's covert. A lot of it's covert and a lot of it's undefined. And a lot of it's just a nuisance because we have not moved on from the generational trauma. Now, as I started to say in the beginning, how do we start to really dig into how to get over this trauma? All right. We're all vulnerable to it systemically, relational wise. We're all subject to it. Domestic violence is a generational trauma, generational. You can actually pass that on, that gift to just to someone in your family, and you not know it. you know Sexual assault and sexual abuse, it can be, those acts can be given, passed down, if we don't pay attention to it, if we don't acknowledge it in ourselves and want to do something about it and want to teach the next generation about it. If we don't do that, if we don't stop to think and do those things and do the inner work, we're not going to get anywhere in our futures, in our generations that come. We're only going to create high anxiety, people that don't know how to commit to anything, people that have nightmares, panic attacks, depression, sensitive to fight, sensitive to leave, issues of self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence. We're going to have all of that on our plate instead of someone who's well-rounded. And even if they're not all the way rounded, they have at least 2 or 3 pillars. They can fill in the rest. We don't even give them the pillar. We give them the foundation, and we give them the roof. And the roof does not have nothing to hold it up. So just being able to learn about yourself and allow yourself, yourself, your intelligence, your spirit, your soul, which is everything that you are, to work on this. You can't give away trauma. You can forget it. You can't pray away trauma. You can totally forget it. You can't meditate away trauma. You gotta face it head on, and you gotta acknowledge it. And once you acknowledge it, it becomes active. You got to say, now, what do I do with this? Yeah. What do I do that now have been sexually abused? Because I can actually pass that down to other people. I can actually pass that down to my generations, my children. I can actually pass that down to my grandchildren. And I can also pass down the sensitivity and the emotions of it, to be so anxious and so nervous that I pass that down. The influences of all of that are very micro. So you want to be able to reprogram and realign with that and say, yeah, I know that I have these things, these capabilities in me, and I know that they're available, that they can actually happen, and be passed down, because I can communicate, I can have a relationship with, and give those patterns to my children. I can actually do that. So how do I do that? How do I just take a step back? Well, that's the key, taking a step back and knowing that you have experienced this trauma and saying in yourself that this is not going to continue. I can't allow it to continue. And how do I not allow it to continue? I educate myself on what it is that has happened to me, because you're not the first one that it happened to, and you won't be the last one that it happened to. So you start educating yourself. You start getting the therapy. You start, getting, counseling. You start by taking care of yourself, getting the ammunition that you were powerless before. Now you become powerful. Now, yes, the treatment's going to be, something that you're going to have to bring up old stuff and spill it out and get it done with it. And it's no easy answer to it. There's no easy answer. There's just what it is. No one needs to put an answer onto it. Everyone needs to resolve it and say, yeah, this crap is here. And I know that I got to get rid of it. And I got to do it in a way and in a place that's safe and helpful, that doesn't render me helpless or hopeless. So you do that, go to a counselor, you reclaim that part of your life, and then you put the coping mechanisms in place. This is when I feel this way, I'm going to do this. When I feel this way, I'm going to do that. When I feel a certain way, I'm going to, or act a certain way, I'm going to do this. So you put those things in place. You grab onto all the tools that you already have really in you. You just got to get them awake again. And you use those mechanisms to put yourself on board with the right thing. Then you make yourself a safe place for someone else to speak. You make it safe for your children to speak to you. You make it safe for your mind and your ears to hear what they have to say without waiting for a response. You make a safe place. You become an encouraging support within your family. You give them crucial steps to say, if you see this or if you see that in your child, because I will survive sexual abuse. The main part of this is being so truthful. It's time to be truthful. I mean, the most annoying thing is to, try to have a healthy life and not tell the truth. That is one of the components, one of the steps of getting past the past. So now we're being truthful with ourselves, we're being truthful with our children. We're now going to educate them. We're now going to say, they may be adults. They may be adults. I talk to my children along the way, and I educate them along the way. As I learn more stuff, I educate them. Same thing with you. Wherever your trauma happened, wherever that happened, educate them along the way. Don't leave them out there floundering. Yeah, you may have gotten over it. Don't leave them out there floundering. Give them tools. And yeah, some may not want to hear about, stop drinking, stop smoking, stop doing what they do. Some may not want to hear it, but that's okay, because as long as you're an open door and you can speak to them about this, that's really okay. People and children, our children, would rather us be open and honest about things, so they can be open and honest, so they can begin to heal. Now, how do we continue to heal from this? I told you have to see a mental health specialist, a therapist, a counselor, and start to control the situation. And it's going to take that because you have the big traumas and you have the small traumas to deal with. Remember, I said layers. You have layers that you're going to have. So you have to work with professionals so you can stay connected and that you don't feel troubled and you don't have a feeling of hopelessness and you're sleeping well and you're paying it, you're being attentive. It's a work. If we have any Bible readers out there, most of us have heard, return to your first love, return to your first love. Well, the first love is you. Simple as that. It's you. And you can't teach nothing if you don't have it. So if you're trying to teach love and you don't have it, and your fruit doesn't show it, and your life doesn't show it, if you don't have that, you are not impacting anyone, not even yourself, because you got to be true to yourself. You got to be clear with yourself. You got to be clear. If you did something or you were wrong about something, you got to be clear about, I'm sorry. I apologize. I may have been out of the way in doing it and I shouldn't have. I apologize for that. Some of us can't get to that step. First is truth, then there's the step of apologizing. And sometimes you have to apologize to yourself first. I apologize for not knowing what I should have known. I apologize. So you have to apologize for that. So that's number 2. Number 3, the patterns that we had, we probably still have them. We have to give those patterns up. We have to release everything that made us where we are. It's almost like erasing who we are, or no, I'm sorry, erasing who we made ourselves up to be. That's what it really is. You see those masks behind me? We have a whole lot of them on. We wear one to church, we wear one to work, we wear one home, we wear one in the grocery store, we wear one in social settings. We wear one everywhere we go instead of being one with one. And we have to show that we have no emotions. We've been taught that as well. Sorry, water, the crying starts, it just starts. You know, if I'm happy, I'm going to be happy. If I'm upset, I'm going to say, listen, I'm feeling really rotten today. But see, we don't respect when people say that. You know, we don't even know what to say to some people when they have signs of this, because that's weakness. See, that's another trauma. Another trauma on believing that showing your emotions and being emotional and sometimes even being vulnerable is signs of weakness. So we can't show that. I don't know where we got it from, but we can't show that. Families have always said that, you got to get a stiff upper lip. My youngest son was always telling my grandson, oh, boys don't cry. Stop it. You get tough. And I told him this one day, I said, that's funny because you used to cry all the time. Who told you that lie that you're not emotional? Then he smiled and he was like, all right, Mom, you got this. And I said, but who told you that? Stop believing the lie. You have the same tears, the same eyes, the same tear ducts that women have. So something has to come out of there. You see how trauma, somebody just saying that to you, you take it on, you pass it to the next generation? Of course. Another family, misnomer or trauma could be if you have a secret that's in the family, there's nobody from the outside is allowed to come into that. And that teaches you how to be an outsider and disassociative. So it teaches you how to disassociate with people hurriedly because they might find my secret out because you were taught that, told that. So you believe that trauma and you pass it on to the next generation. So your son or daughter walks around and says, we don't talk to you. We can't talk to you. Or I don't talk about those things. Mom told me not to talk about those things. So we learn how to keep all those things. And then a trauma that I see a lot of Black women deal with is trusting other people. And they'll not trust someone even to the fault of their own. They could be homeless and need help, and they won't even reach out because they say it's pride, but it's a generational curse that was been given to them. Trust no one. Or someone hurt them when they told them their business. They told their business to somebody that they shouldn't have trusted, so they don't trust anyone now. Trauma, generational trauma. And we take our children along with us for the ride. We cannot separate them from us because we have these serious behaviors that are unhealthy, that should not be passed down generation to generation. Misuse of words, repeating words that we don't even know the meaning of, abuse and neglect, and I think even during this pandemic, what I've been, I've always thought this. My mother never, ever, she wasn't Italian. My mother always cooked for us, cooked food. She's Southern, and she always cooked food. I think it's neglectful for someone to go to give someone dinner and neglectfully not have the family together, and when they're together, they're throwing Taco Bell, they're throwing pizza. Pizza's okay. They just throw it in the middle of them, and they're eating, and there's no communication. Just disassociation. You're teaching your children those things. I know we all have the same amount of hours in the day, but our priorities are off. Another generational curse. Priorities are off. Priorities. If we're supposed to pay our bills and make sure they're on time, we'd rather go out and get our nails done, get additional nails put on, or do something more, and we're supposed to be paying for something important. But because a trauma response to make us feel good was given to us by our mothers to go out and get ourselves all dolled up first, and the bills could wait, and not build a future for myself. And then if something happens to me, I have no insurance, or something even deadlier happens to me, I die, no will. So all my priorities are totally off. We have more exterior look than interior substance. We have more exterior things than important things that make our pillars strong. We are neglecting education because we want to take care of our man, and educationally, we should be in school. We should be helping our generations that we keep recreating, and we're teaching them, take care of this first, and then all the residual goes to them. We're not teaching right. We're not learning how to get rid of those generational curses. We're not doing that. We're not growing up. That's another generational curse. Not being responsible. We're not changing from that. We're not aging. And when I should say maturing. We're not maturing. We're still at this stage, and we're not maturing with what we're supposed to be doing. Where's our education in line? Where have we visited other than next door? Where have we gone other than next door? What are we investing in? What are we putting money? Do we even have a bank account? And if we have a bank account, it better be more than zero. I once saw this calendar someone gave me that said, save 30 cents a day. I was like, you gotta be kidding. I did it. I followed the calendar, put 30 cents, 30 cents, 30 cents. And I just did it for a month. And I was like, oh my goodness, how much money I saved. It was enough to open a bank account. And I did it again. And I kept doing it. And this time I kept increasing. So why I say all that is because you can actually do this, but we don't put no time or effort into building and sustaining our financial fitness, our own health. We don't put no emphasis on our health. Know that things are not good for us, we continue to eat them. For what? For what? The doctor give us more medication? What? I don't get it. Tell me why. So, if we are giving these generational curses to continue on and on and on, the one thing you need to ask yourself, why do I do this? You don't ask anyone else. Ask yourself, why do I do this? Behind a negative behavior or a negative action or stuff that I do, and then you because I know you get that cue to say, why did I do that? Why did I yell at my kid like that? Why am I so on this kid and not on that kid? Generationally, you can do that too. You can like one child over another. Guess what that creates? Civil rivalry all the way through. Buying something for one and not for the other. Same thing. You can identify the problem. You can address the problem. You have to start. It may, there's no time frame on it, and I'm not saying it's years. It's how you want to fix it. It's how soon do you want to really be happy and to really be free, to really have those wings to fly. It's just you. You're the reason why this happens. You're the reason why all this should be identified. You can identify it. You know it. Start today. It's just that simple. Start today. What I always do, I'm a person that likes to write lists. So I'll write a list of everything. So when I was going through, I always, in a journal, my journal was always writing about me. It wasn't about nobody else. My prayers was all about me. It was never about nobody else. You know why? Because I had to get right. Because how would I know what's wrong with somebody else, praying for somebody else, and I'm all wrong? No, prayer is not for that. Prayer is for the things, intercede for some things that you don't know nothing about. Like, God, I don't know what's wrong with this individual. I have no idea. I don't know how they feel, but you do. And maybe they don't know how to pray for themselves, but I'm praying for them so you can intercede, because I don't know what to say or do, but you do it. And prayer is a reflective tool to see yourself, to make yourself better. In all of this, you're going to find prayer, meditation is excellent for reflective tools to get better for you. So I hope that you get something out of this about generational trauma. And if you have any other questions about generational trauma and you just want some help or some guidance, I'm here. You can reach out to me on Facebook at EJW Coaching. Like I said, I also have the Facebook group, Wounded to Wonderful, Inspiring to Purpose and Creativity. I have the radio show, podcast, not radio show, but podcast, Wounded to Wonderful and Keeping It Real. And of course, I have this YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Let me know how you feel. Leave your feedback. Tell me what you want to hear. Tell me even if I'm wrong or if I've forgotten something, tell me. Love to hear from you. This is Edna White signing off. Enjoy your day and live trauma-free.